everybody, welcome. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I honestly must say that for the first time in years I feel we had a good Christmas, a relaxing one. We had a barbecue on Christmas Eve and opened a gift each. Then on Christmas morning we opened our other gifts and ate leftovers the rest of the day. Again, it was just the three of us, but at least we did not have the stress and worry of where we were going to move to like last year. We are really just chilling this year, just the way we like it. Well, in fact, we don't have much of a choice but to chill. Yesterday was indeed 40 degrees Celsius and today is something like 42. To go outside is like walking into an oven. So we are each in our own little space, taking time out in front of our own fans with our curtains drawn to keep the sun out. Anyway, guys, I'm going to deviate from my usual format a little and not just make the video about the royals and include a bit of what I usually talk about on my other channel. But first, let's talk about the royals. I watched the Sandringham walk like I always do, and strangely, I have nothing much to say. Obviously, Andrew, Sarah, Eugenie and her family weren't there, but I also did not see Zara. I did see Anne and Sir Tim and Peter Phillips and his daughters though. Maybe it's just me, but I felt that there was an entirely different atmosphere this year. Catherine, with her bright smile and paying attention to the people, trying to get to everybody, in my opinion, saved the day. Otherwise, it would have been rather boring and grey. And of course, Catherine also looked beautiful. I was honestly surprised to see Beatrice and Edo with Wolfie, but who knows what is really going on in her heart and mind. We can now see that her pregnancy is advanced, and as Beatrice has always been one of my undercover favourites, I really hope that all is well with her and that she will have a healthy baby and no too little complications. I see the media is trying very hard to squeeze Meghan's name in somewhere. Listen to this headline. Katy Perry teams up with Prince Harry, Meghan Markle for super fun Christmas. When I read this heading, I pulled an Oprah on myself and went, what? But then I read the actual article. At a taped show, Katy told her audience that they have a family tradition whereby they don Christmassy clothing or costumes and go and sing carols for the neighbours in her hometown. She did not say in Montecito. I mean, maybe she will be visiting her family in Santa Barbara. Singing carols with her family could include her fiancé, Orlando Bloom, her parents, her siblings, her daughter, her cousins. I mean, who knows? She did, after all, say it was a family tradition. And last time I looked, she is not and never was related to Harry or Meghan. Goodness, she did not even mention them. But the media must make everything about Harry and Meghan. I mean, just because they live in Montecito does not mean that nobody can do anything without including Harry and Meghan. As a matter of fact, most people in Montecito do not care much for them. And many people, as well as their local newspaper, made it clear that the Harkles are not involved in community projects. A neighbour, about, say, 2 years ago, actually told how he wanted to take something over to welcome them. And then how rude they were, telling the guard to tell this elderly gentleman to leave it at the gate. Besides, I've also been told that there was a blooming friendship between Harry and Orlando Bloom, but that it never blossomed into a close friendship because Katie does not like Meghan and made it very clear they will never be friends because they have nothing in common. And shortly after saying that, Katie performed at the King's coronation concert. Okay, so I finally listened to the King's Christmas speech, and really, guys, I suffer from a thing called Charles deafness. I'm not joking. If he talks for anything longer than 15 to 20 seconds, I forget to listen to him. My mind wanders, or I fall asleep, or just fade out. I have to listen 2 or 3 times before I can actually relate to what he said. This has been years, and it has only happened once before with one of my teachers back when I was still at school. It got so bad one day, I truly fell asleep while staring at this teacher, and I subsequently and promptly fell off my chair. Anyway, nothing against Charles's speech. It was all fine as far as I'm concerned, all rather bland, politically correct, and absolutely expected. For instance, who did not expect him to thank doctors and medical staff, and in particular those who took care of him and Catherine? Of course he would, and should, and did. What irritated me just a tiny bit was the message he sent by where he had his speech recorded. It was recorded in the Fritz Rovia Chapel, which once served as the chapel of the Middlesex Hospital. The chapel is now being used for community events and they made sure we know, people of all and any faith. First, it was said that it ties in with the King's interest in building bridges between different beliefs, backgrounds and religion. And when that got a bit of a backlash, Buckingham Palace quickly changed the narrative to now saying that the King wanted a location with a connection to those working in healthcare. Buckingham Palace's PR and press office, so sneaky, so transparent. Oh well, I personally do not like fence sitters. I believe in choose a side and stick to it. But if Charlie wants to be a Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, then let him be. Maybe he'll get his 20 young maidens sitting cross-legged in heaven. I do not know. And I apologize if I sound petulant or hurt anyone's feelings. It's just my dark humor poking its head through the clouds filled with drones, UFOs and orbs. Yes, my friends, we live in strange times, and as I scrolled through the news last night and this morning, after taking a 3-day break from social media, I was hit by how ridiculous this semi-obsession with the royals actually is. Had they not been so influential in terms of their wealth and in terms of their ability to influence people's opinions via the media, I personally could easily have avoided them, ignored them and gone, okay, sarah, whatever will be, will be. My hobby started with the Queen and her mother and the handsome Philip and their young family. It was all about the clothing, the jewelry, for me at least as a teenager. In early, or shall I rather say my late teens, I was too busy to care, but then came Diana, and again it was all about Diana's hair, Diana's clothes, her wedding, her babies. And now that there is no more Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Philip or Diana, and no more Dad with his interest in history, his stories about the Scottish rogues, family names, and other history. So for me, no matter how beautiful Catherine is or how handsome William is, it will never be the same. Charles will never replace the Queen. I'm not the only person who do not have the same sentiment about King Charles as we did the Queen. 3/4 of Britain says the same thing. So yes, I'm honest, if it wasn't for the threat that Harry and Meghan, for example, posed to, say, free speech, or Charles's nefarious history and his links to the WEF and Saudi Arabia, etc., I would likely have stopped watching them at all and purely kept studying history because, as I have said so many times before, my loyalty lies with the people of the United Kingdom, the people of the United States, the indigenous people of America and Canada, the people of Australia and New Zealand, and the indigenous people of Australia and New Zealand, and of course all the people of South Africa. I shall thus continue talking about the likes of King Charles, Harry, Meghan, etc., for as long as I feel there are injustices perpetrated against the people, or the people are being lied to, or the right of the ordinary citizen is being taken from them. So, talking about that, my sincere condolences to the victims of 3 specific, what I personally, and I may be wrong, okay, but that's me. I do not believe in coincidences. So I'm talking about 3 specific incidents over or just before the Christmas period, which I deem terrorist attacks, whether domestic or otherwise. Yes, I'm talking about the Christmas market attack in Germany, when on the 20th of December an SUV driven by 50-year-old Talib al-Abdoumohsen drove into a crowd of people, killing 5 and injuring 235 others. Then on the 25th, a man, of course British media never names the suspect because of politically correct wokeness, but anyway, this guy mounted a pavement in his car and smashed into pedestrians, injuring 4, one of whom was critically injured. Of course, British media says it was not terror-related. Well, according to the British media, it never is, although I'm sure those victims were indeed terrified. And a New York City taxi driver allegedly had a medical episode when he jumped a curb and injured a number of people in Manhattan. Now, this is happening far, far too often. Now, almost every Christmas period. It is so sad. It is a time when children are in awe of the decorations and Christmas lights, regardless of whether they are Christian or not. A time when families usually have a little time off to get together, rest and reflect, and a time in which we are extra grateful for those who do not get the time off because they provide essential services. It is not the time for a 9-year-old to be mowed down by a religious fanatic or a madman. Then, of course, there is the drone UAP scenario playing itself out all over the world, and that is getting wilder and wilder by the day. I have never before heard Donald Trump stumble over his words until now, talking about the drones and UAPs and orbs. I'm sure he's hoping that it will all go away before he's inaugurated in January. Well, luckily he has Elon Musk, who can communicate with aliens for him. Okay, I'm joking, but I just thought, or maybe a revelation, I'm not sure. Finally, there was someone who used a telephoto lens to zoom in and take a clear-ish photo of one or two of these orbs. Well, I zoomed in even more. And you know what that thing makes me think of? An egg. Whether a chicken egg or even a human one. The fact that the orbs sometimes also seem to divide and even drop smaller ones, or even seem to grow and divide. Gosh, I do not really have the language to adequately describe what I saw. But if you look up the zygote, mitosis, and blastocyst stages of embryonic development, then that is more or less what I see when I look at these orbs close up. So could it be that a new species is actually spawning here on Earth? The other theory is that these orbs are indeed angels. Well, if that is the case, then I sure wish one would visit me so we can have a chat. Many, many moons ago, I did a dissertation on angels, and I would love to know how accurate it was. Yes, I have many stories to tell about angels, and if you want to read one of those stories, then go read my book called Fallen Angel, available on Amazon in hardback, softcover, and digital, so whichever you prefer. The book got me into trouble with the Apostolic Church here in South Africa, and I even had women from the church publicly tearing up the book in Cullinan and calling me things like devil, spawn, and evil. So that indeed then prompted the dissertation on angels, which I then sent to the church demanding an apology, which I never got, although I had proven that I was factually correct. I will leave a link to the book. If nothing else, it's a quick, easy, and interesting read. Also reflecting a little about life in South Africa, and because I used real places, you can actually go Google the places mentioned in the book. Anyway, back to the drones, UAPs, and orbs. If the American government knows what these things in the sky are, then they have an obligation to tell the public. We can handle it. We sat through wars, twin towers, and all kinds of disasters. Why would we not be able to handle this? Maybe it will change our belief systems. Maybe it will change our view of the world. But so what? Rather, it came from someone who speaks our language and can prepare us than as a sudden surprise. I've never been good with surprises, not ever. Okay guys, I've really made up for my absence today, and please tell me how you feel about this specific format, because if the majority of you approve of this, then I'll continue to do this, namely talk about the royals or the Harkles in the first half of the video and general news or other celebrities in the second half, or vice versa. Dragon Man's also working on an intro for me, so we'll see what that looks like and sounds like soon. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is me for today, the 27th of December 2024. Please take good care of yourselves until we meet again on the next one. Bye.